They say success is the best revenge. But let me tell you, owning the very ground your enemy stands on, that's a power they never see coming. Let's rewind. My name is Kendall Hartley, and up until 3 months ago, I thought I was living every woman's dream, married to Liam Hartley, the CEO of Hartley and Crane Development Group. Together, we were the polished power couple you read about in lifestyle magazines. I managed the Hartley Women's Initiative, a charity project we founded to support women entrepreneurs, while Liam ran the skyscraper empire bearing our last name. We were building a legacy, or so I thought. It started with whispers in the office halls, late meetings, business trips that lasted longer than scheduled, and then the final crack, a manila envelope delivered to my desk by Liam's lawyer. Divorce papers. No explanation. No warning. Just a formal letter stating irreconcilable differences. What was worse, he didn't even have the decency to hand them to me himself, but I wasn't the kind of woman to beg for answers. I dug until I found the truth. Her name was Sierra Lynn, his executive assistant. Barely 26. I remembered her. Sweet smile, quiet voice. Always standing a little too close to Liam's office. It all made sense. Liam left me for her. But here's what he didn't know. Liam ran Hartley and Crane, but I owned Crane Plaza. The very building where Sierra Lynn clocked in at 8 a.m. every day. The building where she sat in my husband's office. The building I inherited from my late father. Quietly, privately, through a trust Liam didn't even think to check. He might have filed for divorce. He might have chosen her. But they were both working under my roof. And I wasn't done yet. I didn't storm into the building the next day. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. No, I did something much better. I renewed their lease. You see, when my father passed, his estate lawyer quietly transferred full ownership of Crane Plaza to me. Liam never paid attention to paperwork outside his own empire, and I let him keep thinking Hartley and Crane only referred to his half of the legacy. Crane Plaza, the tower his company occupied, was mine. I had been considering selling it, but after the divorce papers landed on my desk, I saw its true value. I sent a friendly email to the building management office, using a name Liam wouldn't recognize. Harper Kingston, property director. Harper. My mother's maiden name. I instructed them to extend a generous renewal offer to Hartley and Crane for another 10 years. Liam signed it the next day, and just like that, they were locked in. I visited the building in disguise the following week. High ponytail, dark glasses, no makeup. I rode the elevator to the 42nd floor, heart pounding as the doors opened to the reception desk. There she was, Sierra Lynn. She wore a tight pencil skirt and a silk blouse, giggling into her phone. She glanced up briefly, not recognizing me at all. I slipped past without a word, hiding in plain sight. Liam wasn't in his office that day, but I didn't need him to be. I walked through the hall knowing every inch of it still belonged to me. The receptionist watched me curiously as I rode the elevator back down. If they thought they'd already won, they were in for the shock of their lives. I waited 2 more weeks before making my next move. I booked a private meeting with my lawyer, Olivia Cross, one of the sharpest legal minds in the city. "Are you sure you want to do this quietly?" she asked, sliding the documents across her polished oak desk. "I'm sure," I replied, signing the paperwork that would officially put Crane Plaza Holdings in the spotlight, but with me listed as the sole owner and acting CEO. Olivia leaned back in her chair, smiling. "Liam won't know what hit him." I returned the smile. "That's the point." I didn't have to wait long. The very next morning I scheduled a building-wide staff meeting, mandatory attendance, including Hartley and Crane. I showed up 15 minutes late, on purpose. As I walked into the grand conference hall, every employee in the building turned to face me. Some gasped, some whispered. Sierra, standing near the back with Liam's executive team, paled instantly. And then Liam. His jaw tightened as he recognized me. I took the microphone, clearing my throat. "Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kendall Hartley, or rather, Kendall Crane, the rightful owner of Crane Plaza Holdings. Gasps echoed around the room. I smiled, letting the silence stretch. I wanted to thank you all for your continued dedication. As of this month, I've stepped in as your active landlord and building director. My eyes scanned the crowd until they locked on Sierra Lynn, who suddenly looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. Liam's face burned red. Thank you for your loyalty, I finished, stepping off the stage without sparing him another glance. I could feel his rage from across the room, and I loved every second of it. Liam didn't waste a second. By the time I reached the elevator, he was charging after me. "Kendall!" he hissed under his breath, grabbing my arm before I could step inside. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I turned to face him, calm and collected. "I think I'm doing what I should have done a long time ago." He leaned in, his voice shaking. "You blindsided me. You knew. You planned this." I leaned in closer, whispering, "You didn't think to check whose name was on the deed, did you?" He flinched like I'd slapped him. "You walked away, Liam. You filed for divorce, and now you're standing in a building you don't even own, working under me." Sierra approached timidly, trying to pull him back. "Liam, let's go." I held up my hand. "Not so fast, Sierra." She froze. I smirked. "Since you like to handle personal matters outside of your official duties, I wanted to remind you of the fraternization clause you signed when you joined Hartley and Crane." Her eyes widened. "Yes, I read every word," I continued, "and so did my legal team. You breached it the moment you started sleeping with the CEO. Liam's face twisted in fury. "You wouldn't—" "Oh, I already have," I interrupted, pulling out a copy of the HR policy with Sierra's signature highlighted. "Consider this your official notice. You have 30 days to vacate your offices if you breach again. And since you already have, I'll expect your keys by the end of today." Sierra turned pale as a ghost. Liam's fists clenched at his sides. "You can't kick us out," he growled. I smiled coldly. "Watch me." By the time sunset painted the city skyline, word had spread across the building. Hartley and Crane had lost their lease. Employees whispered as they packed up their things. Some glanced at me with sympathy, others with awe. Liam stormed into the lobby one last time, dragging Sierra behind him. "This isn't over," he warned through gritted teeth. "You'll regret this." I tilted my head, holding my ground. "Regret? Oh, Liam." I let out a soft laugh. "You filed for divorce to marry your secretary." I leaned in, dropping my final words like a dagger to the heart. "And I just evicted you both from my empire." Liam's face turned scarlet. Sierra's lip quivered as she blinked back tears. I watched them step outside, lost in the reflection of the glass doors they'd never walk through again. I turned to Olivia, standing quietly by my side. "Lease the office to someone who actually deserves it," I ordered. "Someone who respects the ground they stand on." She nodded, and just like that, I walked away from the ruins Liam thought he'd left me in. Weeks passed. The headlines blew up. CEO ousted by ex-wife who secretly owned his headquarters. Investors pulled out. Liam's reputation crumbled. Sierra disappeared from social media completely. I didn't watch it like a victory parade. I watched it like a woman who had finally let go. I poured myself back into the Hartley Women's Initiative. Only this time, under my name, alone. I partnered with local businesses, provided grants to women starting over, and made Crane Plaza a beacon for female-owned enterprises. One morning, as I reviewed grant applications, Olivia walked in with a fresh stack of offers. "Another tenant proposal," she said. "A woman-owned tech startup." I smiled, knowing I had turned betrayal into purpose. I glanced at the papers on my desk. My desk, my building, my life. I wasn't just the woman who lost her husband. I was the woman who reclaimed her power. And I was just getting started. They say blood is thicker than water. But trust me, nothing's thicker than the silence when you find out your boyfriend is secretly taking your sister out behind your back. Let's rewind. My name is Camille Hayes, and for 3 years, I played the role of the proud girlfriend of Nathan Cross, the man everyone in town called Mr. Perfect. Tall, polished, corporate lawyer with the charm of a prince and the salary to match. My friends were envious. My mum adored him. And for a while, I thought I had won the jackpot. Until last Thursday night. I was sitting on my couch scrolling through Instagram when I noticed something strange. My sister Natalie, happily married for 5 years to Ethan, posted an unusual photo on her story. It wasn't much, just the corner of a wine glass, a blurry steak, and a caption that read, "When life surprises you." I wasn't suspicious until I recognized the wallpaper behind her table. It was the exact same private dining room Nathan had taken me to for my birthday last year. The Amber Room at Lamalo, the most exclusive restaurant in the city. My heart sank. My stomach twisted. I swiped up on her story and typed, "Who surprised you? Looks fancy." No response. Minutes turned into hours. My mind spiraled. I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was Ethan, her husband, but my gut told me otherwise. Later that night, Nathan texted me, "Working late, don't wait up." That's when everything clicked. I didn't cry. I didn't call him out. I started planning. If Nathan wanted to take my sister out behind my back, I was going to make sure everyone knew exactly what kind of man he really was. The next morning, I played my part. I texted Nathan sweetly, "I miss you already. Can't wait for our weekend getaway." He replied instantly, "Can't wait either, babe. Just a few more days of work." What a liar. I knew Nathan's patterns. He booked the Amber Room once a year for corporate meetings. I called the restaurant pretending to be his assistant. With a little charm and fake urgency, I confirmed his reservation. Saturday, 7 p.m., table for two. Bingo. I needed a witness, someone who had more to lose than me, someone who had a right to the truth. That's when I called Ethan, my brother-in-law. When I told him what I suspected, he didn't believe me at first. Who would? But after I showed him the screenshot from Natalie's story and mentioned Nathan's late nights, Ethan's voice cracked. "Tell me where and when." We met an hour before the dinner. I handed Ethan a small hidden camera pen I had ordered the night before. I kept another in my purse. My heart pounded as we made our way to Lamalo. Ethan wore a baseball cap low over his face. I slipped into a seat at the bar, far enough not to be noticed but close enough to see the private room. At 7:05 p.m., Nathan walked in, looking smug in his tailored suit. At 7:10 p.m., Natalie arrived, hair curled, wearing the same red dress she wore to my birthday dinner last year. My blood boiled. They hugged. He kissed her cheek. They held hands across the table. Ethan almost stood up. I grabbed his arm. Not yet. We needed proof. The waiter brought them wine. They toasted. They leaned in close, whispering. Natalie laughed, the same laugh she used when we were kids sneaking candy after bedtime. Ethan's hands clenched into fists. I pressed record on the camera. The final straw came when Nathan reached into his jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. I froze. Ethan whispered, "Is that?" Nathan opened the box, revealing a thin, diamond-studded bracelet. The same one I had pointed out months ago when we passed the jewelry store on 5th. My stomach flipped. He unclasped it and slid it onto my sister's wrist. That's when I stood up. Ethan followed. I grabbed my phone and started recording as we pushed open the glass doors to the Amber Room. Nathan's smile froze mid-sentence. Natalie's face turned white. "Surprise," I whispered. They both shot up from their seats. Ethan's voice shook with rage. "Tell me this isn't what it looks like," Natalie stuttered. Ethan, I can explain." Nathan tried to step forward. "Camille, listen." I raised my phone higher. "Keep going. I'm recording." Gasps echoed from the restaurant staff who had gathered nearby, trying to pretend they weren't watching. Nathan's face twisted into that fake, charming grin. "This isn't what it looks like. We were celebrating," I snapped. With the bracelet I pointed out. In the same room you took me to. Natalie's eyes filled with tears. It's not what you think. Ethan's voice cracked. Then what is it, Nat? Tell me. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I turned the camera toward her. Let me help you spell it out. I walked to their table, picked up Natalie's clutch and pulled out her phone. I opened her message thread with Nathan, right there on the screen for everyone to see. Dozens of heart emojis, late-night plans. Can't wait to see you again. Proof. Cold. Hard. Proof. Ethan covered his mouth, his whole body shaking. I didn't need to say another word. I handed the phone to Ethan, took one last look at Nathan, and whispered, "You've both lost more than you realize." Then I turned, phone still recording, and walked out the door. I should have felt victorious walking out of that restaurant with my head held high. But the truth is, when betrayal comes from blood, it cuts deeper than anything else. Ethan followed me outside, clutching Natalie's phone so tightly his knuckles turned white. He looked like he was about to collapse. "Camille, what do I do?" His voice cracked under the weight of shock. I didn't have the answer. I wanted to scream, to cry, but more than anything, I wanted to know why. Natalie had everything. A loyal husband, a home, a life people dreamed about. Why risk it? Ethan leaned against a street lamp, his whole body shaking. "She's been distant for months. I thought it was stress, but this..." I placed a hand on his shoulder. "Go home. Don't confront her tonight. Let her come to you." He nodded weakly and disappeared into the night, leaving me alone on the sidewalk. That's when my phone buzzed. It was Natalie. "Camille, please, let me explain." I stared at the screen, heart racing. Should I answer? Should I block her forever? But something told me. I needed to hear it. I answered. "Camille, please, you don't understand." She rushed out, voice cracking. I cut her off. "Oh, I understand perfectly. You chose him, Natalie, my boyfriend. You lied to Ethan. You lied to me." Silence. And then, softly, "I didn't mean for it to happen. It started with drinks. He said you two were on a break." I laughed bitterly. "We were never on a break," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry. Please, just don't tell Mom. Don't tell the family." I felt my stomach turn. Even now, she was worried about saving face, not saving her marriage. I ended the call without another word, but something told me this wasn't over. Not even close. The next day, I woke up to a text from Ethan. She came home. She confessed. Everything. He asked if I could meet him. He didn't want to face this alone. I arrived at their house an hour later. Natalie sat on the couch, makeup smudged, tissues in her lap. Ethan stood by the window, staring out like he couldn't bear to look at her. When I entered, Natalie flinched like I'd hit her. "Camille," she whispered. I sat across from her. "Why?" Tears streamed down her face. "I don't know. I was stupid. I was lonely. He made me feel wanted." Ethan turned around, eyes red. "You were married to me, Nat. How much more did you need?" She buried her face in her hands, sobbing harder. Ethan dropped onto the chair next to me, shaking his head. "I never thought I'd lose you to him." That's when Natalie finally broke. "I didn't love him," she shouted. "It wasn't about him. It was about me." We stared at her, confused. She sniffled. "My whole life I've been the perfect daughter, the perfect wife. But I always felt like I was living in your shadow, Camille. You had the career, the freedom, the attention. I just wanted to feel like I had something you didn't." The room went silent. I leaned forward, my voice shaking. "So you took him because you thought he was the one thing I didn't deserve?" She nodded, ashamed. Ethan stood up, disgusted. "I need air." He walked out, leaving us alone. Natalie looked at me with swollen eyes. "Please, can we fix this?" I stood, my heart pounding. "I don't think you realize. You didn't just break Ethan's heart." I turned to leave. "You broke me too." Weeks passed. Ethan filed for separation. Natalie moved back in with my mom. Nathan. He tried texting, calling, even showing up at my work once. I blocked him at every turn. I tried to move on, to heal, to forget. But one night, while scrolling through my blocked messages, I noticed something strange, a voicemail from an unknown number. Curiosity got the best of me. I pressed play. It was Nathan's voice. Camille, if you're hearing this, it means you still care enough to check. You think you won, don't you? You think you humiliated me. But you don't know the full story. Natalie wasn't the first, and she won't be the last. I froze. The message continued. You really think I chose her? You were always the one I wanted, Camille, but you pushed me away. You never made me feel like I was enough. My throat tightened. He laughed coldly. And since you love to record things, you might want to check your own phone gallery. The voicemail ended. My hands trembled as I scrolled through my photos, looking for anything unusual. And then I saw it. A video file I didn't recognize. I pressed play. It was me, sleeping. Someone had filmed me, in my own apartment. My blood ran cold. Nathan had been watching me. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was something much darker. And I had no idea how far he'd already gone. They say if something feels off, it probably is. And trust me, I felt it the moment I picked up the phone that night. Let's rewind. My name is Leah Carter, and all I wanted was one thing. A simple birthday dinner with my boyfriend of 3 years, Daniel Chase. I wasn't asking for diamonds. I wasn't asking for a luxury getaway. I just wanted him to show up. We'd made the reservation 2 weeks ago, 7 p.m. sharp at Brio's, the little Italian place I loved. I got my hair done. I wore the dress he once told me was his favourite. I even reserved a private table on the balcony, with string lights and all. But as the clock ticked past 7:15, my phone buzzed. It was Daniel. I answered, smiling, ready to forgive him for being late. But his voice was shaky, breathless. Leah, something happened. I can't make it. I got into a car accident. My heart dropped. I shot up from my seat. What? Are you okay? Where are you? He coughed dramatically on the other end. I'm fine. It's just the cars. It's a mess. Airbags went off. My phone almost died. I need to sort this out. My chest tightened. Where are you? I'll come to you. No, he snapped, then softer. No, I mean it's a mess. Glass, everywhere. I'm waiting for the tow truck. I'll call you tomorrow, I promise. And just like that. He hung up. I sat there in shock, tears burning my eyes. My friends had warned me. My sister had hinted. He's always got an excuse. But this felt like rock bottom. I sat in that restaurant, my untouched plate in front of me, staring at the candle flickering between the empty chair across from me and the cold truth settling in my chest. Something wasn't right. And I was about to find out just how far the lie went. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling until sunrise, replaying the call in my head. The cough sounded too forced, the story too rehearsed. I tried to convince myself I was overthinking, again. But my gut told me different. So the next morning, I did what any heartbroken woman would do. I checked his location. Daniel wasn't exactly tech-savvy. He'd turned on location sharing months ago when we got lost on a road trip. He never turned it off. I opened the app. My heart stopped. He wasn't at a tow yard. He wasn't at home. He was at Coral Bay Beach Resort, a place famous for its wild Saturday night beach parties. The same resort where his best friend Jason was tagged just an hour ago on Instagram. Bottles, fire pits, loud music, bikini selfies. I scrolled through Jason's story, and then I saw him, Daniel, laughing, holding a drink, not a single scratch on him. My heart shattered into something I couldn't even recognize. I could have sat there crying. I could have sent him a furious text. But no, I stood up, grabbed my purse, and whispered to my reflection in the mirror, let's see how this plays out. I wasn't going to show up in tears. I wasn't going to show up looking like I'd spent the night crying into a pillow. I was going to show up looking like the woman he didn't deserve. I threw on my sharpest outfit, a white curve-hugging jumpsuit, gold hoops, and the red heels Daniel used to say made me look like I ruled the world. Because I did. I just forgot for a little while. I called my best friend Jenna, who'd been begging me to stop defending Daniel for months. She didn't even hesitate. "I'll drive." We pulled up to Coral Bay an hour later. The beach was packed. Loud music thumped through the sand. People danced under string lights and bonfires. I scanned the crowd. And then I saw him, Danielle, leaning against the tiki bar, arm draped around a girl in a tiny black bikini. Stacy. The same girl from his office who once accidentally texted him a photo meant for someone else. The same girl he swore was just a co-worker. Jenna reached for my arm. "Leah, are you sure about this?" I looked her dead in the eye. "More than ever." We walked toward the bar like we belonged there, like we owned the entire beach. Daniel's laugh carried over the music. He hadn't noticed me yet. I took out my phone, started recording. I walked right up to him, heels sinking into the sand, and tapped him on the shoulder. He turned, his face drained of colour. "Leah?" he choked out, his drink almost slipping from his hand. The music seemed to fade. People nearby turned to watch. Stacy blinked in confusion. "Who's this?" I didn't even look at her. I raised my phone higher, zooming in on his frozen face. "Funny," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Last night, you told me you were in a car accident." Gasps, whispers. I took a step closer. "You made me sit alone on my birthday, told me you were hurt, couldn't answer my calls, couldn't meet me." Daniel swallowed hard, looking around like a trapped animal. I smiled, twisting the knife. "But you were here, with her." I turned the camera towards Stacy, who looked like she wanted to disappear. And then I finished him. They say betrayal is best served cold. I chose to serve mine in a designer gown, with champagne glasses clinking all around me. Let's rewind. My name is Vanessa Cole. 3 months ago, I stood in front of the mirror at a bridal boutique in Manhattan, testing veils and lipstick shades, thinking I was planning the happiest day of my life. I was engaged to Ryan Langford. Wealthy, charming, and every bit the high society catch people envied me for landing. Or so I thought. We met at an interior design gala I had curated. He was an investor with a taste for rare art and rarer women. I was a rising name in the world of luxury staging. He was everything my mother had prayed for. Tall, rich, connected. Too good to be true? Absolutely. It started small. The missed calls, the late-night business meetings, the subtle shift in how he looked at me, not with admiration, but evaluation, like I was a project halfway done. But I ignored the signs like so many women do. I told myself I was being paranoid. I trusted him. Until the guest list arrived. His assistant, Megan, sent me a rough draft for review. I scrolled through the names, noting his cousins, his work partners. And then I saw it. Ava Monroe, +1. The name hit me like a slap. Avenue tall, icy, and unapologetically seductive. I'd met her once a year ago when she'd spilled her drink all over Ryan's suit at a hotel bar in Barcelona. He'd laughed it off, said she was just a client. I remembered the way she touched his arm, though, how her eyes lingered. I felt sick. I confronted Ryan that night. "You invited her to our wedding?" He blinked, calm as ever. "She's an old friend. And I'm not uninviting her to satisfy some jealous impulse." Jealous. The audacity. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I smiled, nodded, played the perfect fiancé. Because in that moment something snapped, and something stronger clicked into place. If Ava was coming to my wedding, I would make sure she had a front row seat. Not just as a guest. Number I would make her the maid of honor, and I would not tell her who I was. Let's see how that plays out. I knew I had to play it smart. Women like Ava, confident, manipulative, polished, don't fall for simple tricks. If I wanted her close, I had to make her want it. 2 weeks before the wedding, I made a quiet change to the planning team. I told Ryan I was overwhelmed with the bridesmaid drama, half true, and wanted to hire a wedding coordination assistant to help. That's when I messaged Ava. I used a fake email, posing as Madeline as my event coordinator. I told her I'd seen her name on Ryan's guest list and thought she'd be perfect for a special role in the wedding. That we were hosting auditions for a unique experience to surprise the bride. Ava replied within an hour. She was flattered, intrigued. Always happy to help make someone's big day magical, she wrote. The irony. We met in a penthouse suite overlooking the city. I wore a wig, oversized glasses, and fake lashes, enough to keep my real identity hidden. Ava walked in wearing blood-red heels and a silk blouse that whispered money and danger. So, what's the role? She asked. I smiled sweetly. We're seeking someone to serve as the maid of honor on behalf of the groom. She blinked. That's unusual. I leaned in. The bride doesn't have close friends. The groom thinks she's too modest to ask. He wanted to surprise her with someone sophisticated, charming, someone unforgettable. Her ego lit up like fireworks. She accepted before I could finish my sentence. And just like that, the woman my fiancé was sleeping with agreed to stand beside me at the altar, to hand me tissues, to fix my veil, to smile as I said, I do. And she had no idea who I really was. The rehearsal weekend arrived with glitter and champagne. Ryan thought I was glowing from wedding excitement. I was glowing from anticipation. Ava breezed into the venue like she owned it. She wore a blush silk gown that hugged every curve and made heads turn. Everyone assumed she was a family friend. No one suspected the truth, especially not Ryan. He looked rattled when he saw her among the bridesmaids. Why is Ava here? I tilted my head. Didn't you invite her? He hesitated. Well, yes, but she said she was willing to help, so I asked her to stand in as maid of honor. Isn't it sweet of her? He glanced at Ava, who was now laughing with the other bridesmaids, completely unaware that the woman who invited her was me. He opened his mouth, closed it, and nodded. Checkmate. During rehearsal, I watched Ava learn every detail of my ceremony, where to stand, what to say, how to hold my bouquet. She whispered to me during fittings, complimented my taste, even offered to host a last-minute bridal brunch at her apartment. I accepted, of course. The girls gushed over her, not realizing the snake they were embracing. I played along, kept my rage hidden under French manicures and forced giggles. But I noticed every smirk Ava gave Ryan, every accidental touch, and the way Ryan's eyes followed her when he thought I wasn't looking. The mistress was getting too comfortable. Good. The higher the pedestal, the harder the fall. The day before the wedding, Ava invited us all to her place for the bridal brunch. I walked into her penthouse pretending it was my first time there, even though I'd been there once before, 2 years ago when Ryan and I were looking for investment properties. He claimed the building was overpriced. Now I knew why he really kept coming back. The brunch was Pinterest perfect. Rosé, tiny sandwiches, white roses in silver vases. Ava looked angelic in a white lace dress, almost bridal. The irony was suffocating. She gave a speech halfway through, glass raised high. To the bride, she smiled at me, who's about to marry a man she can trust, a man who knows how to love fiercely. I nearly choked. The room applauded. Ava smirked behind her glass. I met her eyes. I smiled back. Then I excused myself and walked into her bedroom. I'd done my homework. I knew where she kept her jewelry, her messages, her secrets. I opened her vanity drawer and found what I was looking for, a thin gold bracelet engraved with R Heart A. Tacky. Predictable. I took a photo of it on her silk sheets and slipped it back. Then I found her perfume, sprayed it lightly on my bouquet for the next day. A scent he'd know. A scent that would burn. By the time I returned to the party, the girls were posing for selfies. Ava draped an arm around my shoulder. You sure you're ready? She teased. I looked her dead in the eye. More than ever. The day arrived. Sunny. Perfect. I wore custom Dior. My hair swept into a chignon. Diamonds on loan. The venue sparkled like a royal gala. Ava walked ahead of me down the aisle. She held my bouquet. She wore the same shade I'd selected months ago for the bridesmaids. Powder blue, delicate, soft. A lie wrapped in silk. She turned to offer me the bouquet and our fingers touched. She smiled. I smiled back. I took the bouquet, scented with her perfume. Ryan noticed the scent immediately. I saw his eyes flicker, confused, nervous. But he said nothing. The ceremony began. The vows were simple, scripted, until it was my turn. The priest asked, "Do you, Vanessa Cole, take Ryan Langford?" "I'm sorry," I interrupted. "Before I say yes, I'd like to thank someone very special." Gasps echoed. I turned to Ava. "My maid of honor," I said sweetly. "A woman so important to my fiancé that he invited her without my knowledge. A woman who's shared not just my wedding plans, but also my husband-to-be's hotel rooms." The silence was deafening. Ava blinked. Ryan whispered my name like a threat. I continued, "You've been so helpful, Ava." Truly. From selecting the flowers to helping with the seating chart. I just thought everyone should know how close you and Ryan have become. I turned back to Ryan. "And no, I don't take you, because I never agreed to share you." Gasps. Someone dropped a champagne flute. Ava's face drained of all colour. Ryan stammered. "Vanessa, this isn't the place." "Oh, I think it's exactly the place." I turned to the guests, most of whom were frozen in disbelief. "You are all here to celebrate love," I said, voice steady. "So let me show you what self-respect looks like." I pulled out the papers tucked into my bouquet. My lawyer prepared these in advance. Annulment papers. Signed. Filed, I handed them to Ryan. "And since I paid for everything, this venue, this dress, the catering, you're all welcome to stay for the reception. Just without the groom." Gasps turned into stunned applause, then silence, then laughter. People weren't sure if it was real. But when I turned and walked down the aisle alone, veil flying behind me, they understood. I wasn't walking away in shame. I was walking out in power. Ava tried to follow. "Vanessa, wait!" I paused, turned, and whispered, "You were never the main character, just the punchline." Then I walked out of my wedding, and into the rest of my life.